Why are you so important?
Somewhere out west, they're working on a cure. I think what really impressed them was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
If she so much as twitches, don't.
First of all, Bella, Pedro, congratulations on the series. It is literally incredible. I just spoke to Craig, and one of the things he remarked on is he knew the chemistry between you two had to be great, and he said it was instantaneous. I'd really love for you to talk about when y'all kind of knew that this was going to work the way it did in the game, and if there was any aspects of the relationship in the game that you thought would be key to what you guys were doing in this one.
Great question. Well, yeah, we met for the first time just as I was getting my haircut, and you just come off set. It was a very like brief meeting. We didn't have like time to get to know each other, but yeah, the chemistry. It was just immediately this bond, unspoken like connection of like we're both embarking on this huge journey together, like as Joel and Ellie, but as two people as well, like. Suddenly we're spending a year together in Alberta, Canada, like not knowing what the hell we're doing, and we're just like having to trust the process. But you know what I mean? Like it really was that.
I feel like there was all of this kind of like little unspoken relationship developing even before we got to Canada.
Yeah, actually.
Like little like, we started following each other on Instagram and starting to kind of like, I don't know. I feel like sending little signals, little signals to one another, kind of, shyly, but the excitement and the anticipation was obviously so clear. And then I guess to avoid the pressure of what it would mean for this to work between the two of us, we just were as casual as we could be. You came in to get your haircut. I was shooting, and then the first time we were together, I was like throwing you up against a wall.
Yes.
And holding a gun at you. And I'm like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly.
Called me several times.
Several times in the show, obviously.
In the script,
darling.
Absolutely. I will say, I would have said that you two bonded over being fan favorite characters on a little show elsewhere. Just saying, like
an element,
Yeah.
I watched the show before I got on that show and continued to watch it after I departed, and was able to meet and fall in love with Lady Mormont like everyone else. So, yes. I was a little fanboy. Don't even say that you watched my season.
I didn't.
I knew it.
I do know that you get your eyes like squished out.
I get my teeth punched out, my eyes squished in, and my head.
You might like it based on what you said. I don't want to get out of here though without getting this in there really quickly. I know both of you were not maybe like diving into the game like I was and playing it 2 times through, but you have to know what the clicker scene means. Anybody that knows anything about that, and having that in the trailer, what was it like for you guys? How much did you know what you were going up against would look like? Did they do that practically, or did you really just have to imagine it?
It was all practical.
It was very practical. It was too practical.
Very practical.
Yeah, I knew that they were going to pull something really brilliant out of the hat as far as that was concerned, but I didn't expect it to be as real looking on the day. And some things sometimes, the opportunity for everything to be at your disposal in that way, and to immerse you into the experience, to shoot the story. But sometimes some things are better left to the imagination, because that was that was about as disturbing as her birth.
Giddy up.
They looked really scary.
They were scary in the show. What are you talking about? It's like it's very scary on the show. I know we're used to it, but it's not like it's less. Also, Pedro, I definitely want to talk about this because I just think it's really cool that, whatever with Mando protection. I mean, there's a little solo man on a mission, maybe cutting himself off from the world. Is this you therapizing on screen? I'm just curious. It's too similar not to at least remark on it.
I guess it is, I didn't even realize it until now, really. It is like the most special double dip that I could possibly have experienced, where they are so similar and so different, and it's just been like amazing to step into those shoes and that armor.
I'm taking you with me. Do what I say when I say it. You got any advice on the best way west? Yeah, go east.
Merle, Neil, it is great to see you all. I will say that you already have a debt of many of my hours, as I played the game way too many hours for way too long. But I'll start with you, Neil. You've said that the show allowed you to include a lot of things that you couldn't, and maybe do some things that maybe at the time of the first game or even in the remaster you couldn't. Talk about some of these new places you got to explore with this different medium.
The biggest difference, I think, for me is in the game. One, the game has to support a lot more action, I think, than is required in the show for the sake of gameplay, right? There's a certain mastery that comes with the game, that once you do have that mastery, there's this bond you feel with the playable character that's very unique to games, that we knew that's the strength of the game, and we shouldn't try to replicate that in the show. So with the show, what we can do is leave Joel and Ellie's perspective and really focus on these other characters and get to flesh them out. And by fleshing them out, it makes their interactions with Joel and Ellie that much richer. So for example, like we get to see Marlene, what is she struggling with, right? Because there's certain goals that she wants that has an inner conflict with what she feels is right and wrong. And she has to sacrifice her own morality to kind of achieve these goals. Likewise, there's all the character of David and like these other things that we get to show the humanity of the antagonist, quote unquote. Again, there was no real villain in this story. There's just people with competing goals. And then there are some other other stories that were written since the game has come out for different projects that for one reason or another didn't happen. That when Craig and I started talking about the story and kind of breaking it down, I mentioned some of those to him, and he was just wide eyes and like a fan. He was excited, like, oh my God, we got to put these on the screens. We got to get them in the show. And you got to see in the trailer we just put out, Ashley Johnson plays Ellie's mom. And that was one of those stories that was very near and dear to my heart. And I'm so glad it finally gets to live.
Oh, I love that. Meryl, I will say, I actually have listened to you, and the character embodies so much of your physical representation as well. But I know that when you put on the wig, from what I heard from Craig, it was a real emotional moment for you, because although you voiced this character for literally, several years, going on almost a decade, that was the first time you felt in it. Is that true?
Yeah, well, and I will take one more step back, which was my costume fitting, which as soon as I walked in, I saw the mood boards and I saw the choices and was not prepared for how I was going to feel when I actually put the clothes on for the first time. And it just felt like worlds colliding. I was like, what's happening? Neil, look at this picture. I don't know what's going on. It was really an unbelievable moment. And then to step, even further and, yes, put on the wig and see the full situation, completely fleshed out in front of my eyes was remarkable, because I've been on such a long, emotional, connected journey with her for a decade now.
Again, there's so many moments I think of. I'm just thinking of like some of the mocap bloopers that you guys have done, singing and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, I've gotten all the Easter eggs, but in the end, it's still, no matter whether it's the game or the TV show, it's these two characters. And I would say for both of you, seeing another person reimagine what these characters are, it's almost maybe an uncanny valley. What was something, Neil, that you saw watching Bella and Pedro's interpretations of the characters that maybe felt brand new to you? I'd be really excited to see something that they brought that you hadn't seen before.
Yeah, it's such a privilege. I get to work with such amazing artists and, give them this material that is inspiring them, and they get to interpret it, they get to internalize it, and then we get to see what comes out on the other side. That it's hard maybe to articulate those differences. There's definitely differences, but like Pedro is so charming, and he has to suppress all that when he's Joel. And then you get to see these moments where it like kind of peaks out And when he smiles, several episodes later, it feels like a set piece, like an action, like it's such a reward for like people that have invested the time in this relationship. Likewise with Bella, like I feel like we got lucky twice with these casts of like Ashley Johnson was able to capture Ellie so well, and then you have another person that's interpreting them, and at first like there's a resistance, like there's a fear that they're not going to do as good of a job or it's going to be too different. And my mind just keeps going back to, my Batman was the Tim Burton Batman. And I think of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I'm like, in my mind, that is the Joker. And I remember when I heard like Heath Ledger was cast as Joker, I'm like, there's no way in hell Heath Ledger is going to do as good of a job as Jack Nicholson. And he did. It was different. And they were both the Joker. And that's kind of like how I view this. It's like Ashley Johnson is Ellie and Bella Ramsey is Ellie. And it really kind of like, now there's like a clear separation. It's almost like I can see two dimensions, and they're both really true and honest as those characters.
You've come this far, and you know what's out there.
You're not gonna scare us.
Scared him?
Craig, congratulations on the show. As a fan of both the video game and now this, you should be so incredibly proud. But I would say, having watched this and also having watched Chernobyl, let me just say, you really love people in desperate situations.
I do.
So is that what brought you into this? Or were you, I would love the idea of you just being like, playing the game, being like, this might make a good show.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, I do love people in desperate situations. I think desperate situations show us who we really are. But what happened was exactly the way you put it. It's 2013. I'm sitting on my couch. I'm like, all right, I'll play this game. It's got monsters, whatever. And I get through the first 10 minutes. And I'm stunned and I'm crying and I don't understand what just happened. And then that just carries through. And I was obsessed. And I actually remember feeling sad that I was probably never going to get a chance to like make a Last of Us show, and like meet Neil and work. And then here I am now, like, what a dream come true, for a fan.
It's so funny talking to you, because I listened to your podcast for Chernobyl, and then again in this, you're such a bubbly person considering the stuff that you write about in some respect, or the more recent work, I should say.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it's after you go through the trials and tribulation of a show like this, because adapting a video game is already a hard thing to do. And then when it's a game that, arguably people say is like the best video game ever, like, was that it? The idea of bringing it to a new audience? Like what was the main draw once you actually started adapting it through?
Well, I think initially what I was just driven by was how much I loved it. But also I could see how The Last of Us, the game experience, was kind of begging to be this other version, I loved playing the game, but you could see how it was almost like wanted to be a television show a little bit, and thinking about how to do that was so exciting, and doing it with Neil was the best, because Neil was incredibly flexible and brave and had no problem like stress testing everything and how can we make it better and how can we expand it. But also I knew like I was never going to be able to do anything that like broke The Last of Us, because I got Druckmann next to me. That's not happening. So, the two of us were like this together the whole way through, and just like, I don't know, it was just a joy to fill that world out and give everybody the things that I would desperately want to see, and then more.
I love how it was the two of you really sort of locked in behind the scenes, because obviously we know The Last of Us, it's right there from the, the game poster, the game cover, now also the cover of this one. Yep. What was the dynamic between Pedro and Bella that you saw that you really wanted to translate to the game? Because there's a lot that you could play up with these characters, and even, I would even say, how you cast them in this version.
Well, we were looking for people that we felt just embodied the soul of Joel and Ellie. And we got those people for sure. We had no question about that. But then it was sort of like, well, but what will they be like together? And that's where kind of luck happens, because they bonded so fast and so profoundly. I mean, they are like a unit. You couldn't tear them apart if you tried. They love each other, and we love them. You know, we wanted to replicate for everybody, whether they had played the game or not, the experience of a man who was closed off and broken, just opening up, even you didn't even realize it's happening, opening up and letting this love back in, which is a dangerous thing to do. And we also wanted to feel the ache of this girl who is lonely and lost and has never had a family, has never had belonging, and has never been protected or cared about like this. We wanted to see that coming through, and they just delivered it in the most beautiful way. Playing The Last of Us means you're going to cry. Watching The Last of Us means you're going to cry, but it kind of feels good. You know, it kind of feels good. It's just because Pedro and Bella made it true. And what else can I ask for as somebody making a television show?
Wow. I mean, I love what they did. Obviously, they made it so authentic. But before I get out of here, I couldn't not talk about Troy and obviously Ash. I mean, it's just the fact that you guys were able to bring them into this and then like have that dynamic be a part of this at this, you know, however many years later, but also especially particularly with Troy, but with both of them, they've become such icons in the video voice game world. It's almost weird seeing them not the way we are used to hearing them.
Yeah.
It's almost funny. What was that like for you?
Troy's the really weird one, because he's been 400 people and he looks like none of them as far as I'm concerned. There is, like, you can see Ashley's face and Ellie, particularly in the new versions of Ellie. I mean, obviously, I'm deeply connected to their performances. I love them. And they're both just the most beautiful people. And I loved having them on set, and their eyes looking around. I mean, remember Troy walking around going, oh my God, I'm in it. It was so like moving for them. And don't forget Merle Dandridge, who plays Marlene. She's the one person who was the same character in the game and in the show. Yeah. Marlene has this great kind of like gray streaked hair, but Merle, her hair is perfect. So, you know, we're working with a wig. She gets this wig on and just starts bawling just instantly, because she's like, I'm Marlene. It just happened. You like, so having those touchstones of people that did the game and were with us and working the show and telling us that we were getting it right, and that we had cast well, and that Bella was amazing and Pedro was amazing. It just meant everything to me. Everything.
You have a greater purpose than any of us could have ever imagined.
Be careful who you put your faith in.
You might not be her father, but you were someone's.
One thing I will say is, look, Tess is a bona fide like action hero in her own right. Is that something that really drew you towards it, like this sort of shade of it? Because man, you guys really take it in this series.
Yeah, of course. That and working with Pedro Pascal. Yeah, it's always fun, and you kind of, because I'm not really like that, but I'm always surprised at how I'm like, oh, like I'm shocked when I go, oh, I buy that. When I see myself doing something, I'm like, oh, I bought that. I'm like, well done, Anna. Yeah. They make me look good. Yeah, they do all this stuff. I don't really have to do anything, but
I mean, I will say this, you are believable in it outside of every moment. So I will take that all to you. But if you want to make it a team effort, make it a team effort. One thing that is not, is a dual effort is your chemistry with Pedro and just the whole Tess Joel of it all, if we will go ahead and say it for those of us that are fans of the book. How did you guys talk about that part of it? I mean, obviously it seems like part of that was the draw, but then you also have to like work it out, and there's the actual getting it done, and what you see maybe in chemistry tests has to then translate on screen.
Well, yeah, we talked about it, and actually the first scene that we shot was the first scene that they were together, and there's not really that many moments, but we were adamant, Pedro and I, that we wanted. I mean, I would have liked to have made it. I would have liked to have gone further, but part of it is that you've got to be true to the characters, and we just went, we both wanted them to, have been together for a long time. We wanted them to like be incredibly loyal to each other. We wanted them to be in a relationship, in a partnership. But as Tess and Joel, like not, it's Tess and Joel in a relationship, in a partnership. And then we went, well, how do we do it? And you go, because you don't want to overdo stuff too, because
Over
it's
egg
not
the
in
pudding.
character. Exactly. And it's sort of like when you agree on all of that stuff, and you just there's an ease between them. And the first time you see them, Tess walks in the door, jumps into bed with him, he rolls over, she puts her arm around, and it's like then like the audience goes, oh.
One of the things we got from the trailer is this epic clicking scene, which again, even if you weren't me obsessed with the video games, you have to know just how incredible that scene is. Can you talk about sort of working up the choreography for that one? Because yes, I know you guys have brilliant stunt performers, but there's still a lot that goes into everything before, after, and sometimes during those moments.
Oh, look, then that was all choreographed, and then we came in and did it. But I mean, it was creepy because the actors playing the clickers, that's all them. Like the disjointed kind of like the physicality of them. They had practiced and they did it for days. Like that was them, and also the like all the sounds, that was all them in the room. And so that was my first experience of a clicker, and so that was frightening. So that was all prosthetic. Most of that's prosthetic, and then these really big, tall, beautiful, like unbelievably, like just the movement was nuts. They'd worked on it. They were amazing. And then the sounds, all of the sounds was them in the minute. So it was frightening. It was really scary.
Probably not hard to stay in character in a moment like that, because again, they're terrifying in just where we're looking at it on screen.
Well, and then you didn't really want to talk to any of them, so you didn't meet. Like we only met them out of the prosthetic like one time, and then you kind of wanted to, like, hi, like you just didn't want to look. Well, but incredible. They were in that for days.
I love it. Last question here real quick, because I will say this. It's, I guess, scary in a good way, scary how talented they are at their age. But I will say Bella is just absolutely incredible in this. And I know that if there is any dynamic that folks are more interested in than the Joel and Tess, it's obviously what Bella and Pedro are doing with their characters, with Ellie and with Joel. Talk about your chance to work with them and what Bella brings to the table as a young performer.
Oh, it was really fun. I mean, I'm sure she'd say the same thing too, because I'm only in just the beginning of it, and it's just Bella and Pedro. And so Pedro and I had worked together, and it was kind of, we got to do it almost chronologically. So we kind of like had this thing, and then it was really different. All of a sudden Bella came in, and we were like, oh, this is a different vibe. And then in the same way it happens with the thing, Bella and I started to really get on and get the giggles together. And by the end, like we cracked each other up a lot. And I think part of it was because we were, it was just everything was so serious all the time, and you're constantly looking at this revolting fungus everywhere, and like everything that you just would, and one of us would go and then the other would go. I mean, the crew would be like, come on, a lot of days. That's okay. Well, I think it reads. I think it reads that we get on.
You trust me?
I'm so excited to talk to you because I know you actually played the game. So yeah, I'm also a fan of the game. Well, I just have to ask, as a fan of the game, knowing that you were signing on to this, besides the daunting task of doing everything you could with Tommy, was there anything you in particular were looking forward to, like Easter egg type stuff? You were like, okay, this is going to be cool when we do it?
Yeah, absolutely. There was. I wanted to see how we were going to recreate Austin, Texas in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, because I'm from Austin. And so I was really thrilled to see what we were going to do in terms of the production design to bring my entire home up north to Calgary. And it didn't disappoint. I mean, there was, not only did it match my experience and what I know to be the authentic elements of my hometown, but it also matched the game in a really incredible way. So I was all over the place taking pictures of, movie posters or certain buildings and certain kind of architecture and structures that all of the Texas Longhorn paraphernalia that was everywhere. So I think that's what I was looking forward to, and it didn't disappoint.
I really love that. I also love the Austin, Texas shout out. I'm not an Austin born, but I was Austin bred. I went to school there and lived there many years. So I also will say they did a very incredible job, which is incredible. Desolate Austin. But one of the things you did have to sort of create in whole cloth for this series is the bond between Tommy and Joel, with your bond with Pedro. And I know that you guys had a fun set, but again, sort of playing brothers in this, the dynamic between these characters in the game is interesting, and you kind of like have to make that translate on the series, or did you guys want to explore it completely different?
Well, we had different entry points because I knew the game, I knew the whole story, I knew the experience. He had watched a lot of the playthroughs and a lot of the cinematics on YouTube, so he was familiar with it. But what we were dealing with was a superbly crafted script that Craig and Neil, laid in front of us. We need only stay true to the story and how it was unfolding in the script. I mean, a lot of the way that the tit for tat that brothers, that brothers are apt to kind of engage in was there in the script. And I know it very well because me and my brother are only 22 months apart, and we used to always, knock heads. So all of that was very, very easy to slip into because it was written so well. But beyond that, he and I, both Pedro and I, were both raised in Texas. He was born in Chile, raised in San Antonio. I was raised in Austin. We just thought that it was important that we just draw on that and lean into it and allow it to inform our relationship. And it did, it gelled in a very quick way, which was important because when we were off and running, we were certainly off and running. So I just I couldn't have asked for a better scene partner too. He's so giving and so playful and immensely talented.
The other thing I would really ask, since you were definitely somebody that had the full experience of playing the game and really living in that, is you were probably a little bit like the, on set, if you can't grab the technical advisor, ask Gabriel.
That was it. You're right about that.
Did you put a lot of that expertise into the clicker scene? Because that's a moment in the game that is just literally instructive. So much just learning how to deal with them. Like that first attack from them is like one of the scariest moments in the game. Did you sort of like circle that day and really sort of pay attention to how they translated that as a gamer? Did you just let yourself be a gamer for a day with that moment?
We you kind of prepare for it, and which parts of the script are married to the game that you really love, and you're like excited. Okay, can't wait for this, but then you get there and you just forget all about that and your preconception of what it was going to be because of how it becomes what happened with me, Pedro, and Nico, what just happened in the moment, and you're not really too concerned about applying it point for point. You're really just, everything is there. It's constructed in a way that honors the game, and if you live in the moment honestly, you'll have contributed the important part that you need to bring, and so that was kind of effortless. But you're right. No, I was always called on to be a bit of a technical consultant when it came to the game. Pedro would turn to me a lot. It's like, is this what happens in the game? Is this how it's like, no, dude, this is exactly how it happens in the game. Or no, we're doing this differently,
I really appreciate that. One thing that, for at least when I saw, I didn't get to see, there's lots of solo episodes, and I didn't get to a Tommy solo episode. So are we going to get one this time? Do you know? Can you tease
You
it?
have to watch and see. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I see they taught you well. They taught you well.